Hi, I'm Anna from Astralladytarot in Amsterdam. I really wanted to talk about the importance of using your senses and how to really activate them and what to do with them in a tarot reading. I recently made a video about doing that for path work. Basically, it's about how to use those very real projection experiences that you have with the tarot. It's really about, I believe either way it will be clear if you do those types of exercises with your cards, that you will see the value in it. You will, in fact, treasure those experiences because they are very real. Then it's about, I want to address several stuff that I think could be in the same video, but I hope you really do start to see how you could use those experiences in a reading. It's not just about going there, doing the path work for yourself. It's really about, and I talked about that in my last video, about having, about creating memories. And again, not just in the sense of whenever I feel a certain way, this card seems to come up a lot. That's all fine and very handy, and it's good. It means you're experienced. It means that you know the cards. But there's more than just that. There's also the memories where you've actually been there. You've actually been to the world of a card, to the world of the deck, or in the card. And then it's much more, I wish I knew the words. It's, I guess it's about real memory in the body, real memory that you felt, the real senses. So that's why I think it is about using the senses and then creating a memory where you remember the whole thing as if it really happened, almost as if it is a real place. And I mean, I'm not going to tell you how to view that or something, but that's all up to you. But I think doing those exercises, doing those things, they really do change your view on what is possible in a sense, and then how you read the cards, what they can actually mean for you and for someone else, perhaps, if you read for others. It's just very interesting. At a certain point, it could very well be that whenever you get to read the World card, for instance, which is my card of the month, by the way. I have a lot of them on my wall there. Whenever you see the World card, or the Universe card, that a memory, kind of a flashback happens to when you were inside that card, when you were doing that work. It can be as real as last Christmas when you were with your family, just having dinner, because you actually did the whole thing of making it 3D or 4D, 5D, you can go as crazy as you want. You can view it in different ways also, but you actually make it in color, and you know that when you're looking at something, of course all of this you're imagining, or you're seeing that in a meditation, you're guided towards that. You know that when you look towards your right, or there is someone or something, and that if you were to touch it, it would feel this way. And, it's all very real, and there's interactions happening, and it's all very interesting, but very hard to put into words, at least for me. After all, that's what I'm talking about. It goes further than the words. It's kind of like my other video where I explain how sometimes I draw out the readings, and then you get different messages and actually views of what the reading was. I'll link it below, because maybe this is not the best day for me to explain things, but in that video, the essence is that, of course, the tarot is visual. There are no words, really, in the tarot. The tarot is visual. Then you go from the visual to the reading. So if it was for someone else, or maybe yourself, it could be that you do your readings out loud. You transform those symbols, those meanings into words, and then by drawing it and putting it on the paper, it again becomes visual. But your reading becomes visual. It's not the cards. You know what I mean? So in between that process is you, the mind, the soul, the sentient being. And this is exactly the same thing, using the senses for your tarot reading. It's not just for yourself. It's not just, it could, initially, at first I think, yes, it should very much be for yourself. Everything that we are discussing here should first and foremost be for yourself, to understand things or to ask the right questions. I often say that. But it could be for others as well. You could actually share those messages. It's like having the experiences of the path work, of using your senses and all that stuff, allows you to forget about the words. It's no longer, I'm not saying that it ever was, everyone, works in their own way, but I just do want to finish that sentence, that thought. It's no longer about the keywords. It's no longer about the book meaning, or no longer about the meaning that you tell every time. It's kind of like, I do think that I become a better reader, definitely, by being critical of myself. I'm sure most people agree. Of course we can all, we all love this, but in order to grasp something that cannot easily be put into words. Yeah, I kind of already said it there. In order to grasp the essence, grasp the reality, grasp the actual magical thing that the tarot can do, it's not about memorizing words or even associations. It's much more, I think, cool already and fun to actually having been there and bringing it up as a kind of memory. And I'm not saying that happens every time, or with every card, or with every person, or every time I read the tarot for myself. Not at all. I do use those typical meanings, or not keywords, but definitely words that belong to the energy of the card. It's about understanding the energy and having, experienced that. I think that was just a very long-winded way of going exactly to the point where I started. Anyway, I think it's just fun to think about those things and how they work, and how your work with the tarot, our work with the tarot, can become deeper, more related to instinct. Okay, so there were some things happening with the camera and the batteries and all that. This is the next day, and I'm back to finish the video. Something has been proven a couple of years ago now. I really do love, I don't know about you, but I really do love when scientists get closer to spirituality. Science and spirituality is not, in my opinion, from what I've heard these days, is not separate from each other anymore. Actually, the solution to a lot of things, the solution to a lot of problems, the solution to a lot of things in the universe that we don't understand or don't make sense, is in the merging, the combining of those two amazing things. Of course, from the little knowledge that I have about these things, doesn't really matter. To me, it makes sense, and it's beautiful. I wanted to address that because a few years ago now, it has been proven that we don't store memories only in our brain. We actually store it in our heart as well, and other organs even. Now, first of all, proven is flawed, because something is proven until the next thing comes along that proves it wrong. And we can just keep going for a long time with that. Whenever we feel we have found the answer, probably a few years later, it is debunked or... But it doesn't matter. I just wanted to talk about that. If you haven't heard about it, that's possible. Please look it up. It's really interesting. I wanted to talk about that because it's so much related to what I was talking about earlier in this video, where the path working experiences, the projections into the card onto the paths of the Tree of Life, do exactly that. You try to, or you intend to, make it real, and so it is. Make it an actual situation, an actual place, an actual feeling of that it is true, an actual experience, and then when reading the tarot, it becomes more like a memory. So that information that your mind has received, but not only your mind, other parts of your body, and we don't know what other energy fields we really have, but there is energy everywhere anyway. It's space. That information is coming into your body. It's a knowledge. It's a feeling. It's an experience again. It's a memory. Do you feel what I'm trying to say? It's more than just learning the cards or having learned the cards. It's more than just understanding symbolism. All of that can be deep, but has the tendency, or has a chance, I should say, of remaining 2D. Well, that's flat. And therefore, it can stay a little bit superficial. It can stay a little bit flat. It can stay a little bit two-dimensional, which actually, in fact, is something that we do not have in this universe. 2D doesn't exist. What does exist is 3D and beyond. So let's go there. Let's do the adventure. Let's actually smell it, and let's actually taste it. Let's actually feel it. Let's actually use, again, where I started, use our senses in order to understand the cards, feel the cards, understand the tarot, and therefore doing the readings, whether we're doing it for ourselves or for other people, that really doesn't matter. When we're doing the readings, they become better and deeper, and you will be able to tap into different aspects of it. So I was talking about an older video where I linked the cards by drawing them out, by drawing out the reading. That is a great way because you are really seeing the connections and feeling them as well, and smelling them and tasting them and hearing them. So I'm not saying that it's about psychic or supernatural. I'm just saying that's intuition, and at the same time, when you actually did all this type of work, it is memory. So you are speaking from experience. See how simple it is, but very strong. It's just about having went there and to go again in the future and to really get to know it. Really, truly. You could almost even say that it's the difference between seeing a person for the first time and having the first conversation and actually knowing the person's history, the person's goals in life, the person's motivations, the person's, see what I mean? The person's drive. Let's do it with one card. I have the Queen of Cups from the Thoth Tarot. Now I'm going to have to switch angles, I think. I'm just going to leave a picture up because I actually need the image itself at first. Yeah, so let's let's go. The Queen of Cups. Such a beautiful, serene card. So now it's easy, and I also even encourage that, it's easy to derive from the book meaning, because we are making our own personal experience, right? So here it's looking pretty dark, yet there is a light coming from above, or coming from her, actually. Right now we are looking through the borders of the card, getting ready, perhaps even reaching the point of 0, which I will probably talk about in another video. I don't know if I will actually put it up. But either way, we are kind of relaxing within our own body. No expectations. When you're ready, step through the borders of the card. We are the spectator at this moment. Actually, I'm standing right on the edge of the water, still on land. I think I may very well be barefoot, and if I were to tilt a little bit forward, my toes would dip into the water. The water is still, and it's reflecting her. She's far away, but right in front of us, looking at us, and still a mystery, because we can't really see her face. There's the pelican, there's the lotus, there's the shell and the crayfish, and in the water it looks even more like a snail shell. And this beam of a type of steam, isn't it? A mist, actually. A mist, but it's radiant and it's powerful. What sound does it make? I can feel my ears. Inside of my ears, I feel that pressure, that almost wish to hear these beams of energy, of hear these waves of energy. And at the same time, it's so still. What's happening next to me? Now, I don't actually need to look right and left. It's within my peripheral. I'm definitely outside, but actually the sky is filled with this light that comes from our head. The rest of the landscape is very dark, and it is night, and it's actually pretty cold. A little bit uncomfortably cold. Yet perhaps the water is just right, the right temperature. Isn't that nice? That's how you would get a sort of mist, no? The air is at the same time clear where I am, but just around her it's very dense and wet and moist, and if I were to reach out my hand through one of those waves through the air, it would come out a little wet. Now, from where I'm standing, I can see she's very powerful, but she is a little bit away from me, so I'm feeling safe, but not truly in touch with her. I'm enticed by her. I can't really see her. She can see me, and it's actually as if she is trying to figure me out. By doing so, I will figure me out, and I will figure her out, and she will figure out herself. It's a mirror, isn't it? Now this, I know, is very close to book meaning, but I just got all of this from just looking at her. What's happening around, yes, it's dark, there are no stars in the sky. Either way, if there were, I wouldn't be able to see it because there's that light, and it sometimes goes away. I am in the darkness, and she is at the same time light and dark. So I'm hearing that strange, in Dutch I would say gonzend. Maybe I'll find the right word in English and put it in the screen. perhaps here and there, they're just little drops. They don't come from her, they just come from the life that's there in the lake, in the water. It's just the little frogs, the little birds, but it's all very still and mysterious. It's pretty cold and night, but comfortable in the water. That could of course mean that she is comfortable when she's away and she's not with others. She's comfortable being hidden. That might be true of some of our feelings. Some of the feelings that we have, they really do come from that subconscious, the darkness below. They come from the water. At the same time, there is the heart. It's not just not knowing. There is the part where we're looking at her, and that means that we're looking at ourselves. Even though she feels distant, there is that recognition coming now. There is that, hey, I know you. There is that heart, actually. There is warmth. I had to look for it a little bit. But it's right there in the shell. Right there in the middle, close to her heart. Feelings are at the same time beautiful and ugly. Feelings are at the same time like the lotus. There's no lotus without the mud. What we see on the surface is, of course, not the whole picture. Not nearly. There is a whole world that we don't see. But here, it's emanated from the water. And she's almost like, at the same time, she's very real. I see her as 3D, but she's also a mirage. She's also not really there. I'm imagining her. But you know what? By now we must know that imagination has nothing to do with whether something is real or not. Perhaps I step into the water. I'm in there knee-deep. Her face is now looking at me from the water, and I feel the waves. I finally feel them, because the water actually acts like a conduit. Is that how you say that word? I don't know. But there is that comfortable feeling that the water is safe because it's warm, and the water is alive because I feel it moving, even though the surface is still pretty still. And at first I smelled the typical slightly swampy, but at the same time mostly clear lake, still water at night. So that makes it a little bit stronger and fresh, the smell of night. I'm actually having trouble seeing what's behind me. I have a feeling that now that I've stepped into the water, we are one and the same. And her lights, her rounded shapes, those rounded energy shapes that come off her, aren't only going outwards anymore, they are also coming back. They're also going in. They are actually creating a huge, beautiful, glistening, very thin, but at the same time very safe bubble around me, between her and I. And it's slowly going over my head and down my back, and it ends exactly at the edge of the water, near the plants, and it's surrounding me. It's like a huge, strange, mysterious hug, where she is saying, I am you, we are one and the same. And she has a beautiful, deep, echoing voice. And now I smell much more the perfume of nature, really. Before I smelled the blue and the green and the black of this setting at night, and now I'm smelling the beautiful, sweet, pink, tiny flower smell. How do you describe smells? With colors? I just did, or I just attempted to. But this is like an invitation to come closer, alright? Whether I continue with clothes on, or naked, or sky-clad, as some of us like to say, I am immersing myself into the water. I'm swimming through her face in the water, I'm swimming through the shell in the water, and I'm swimming. It's very far, and you know what? I am already all the way, not across, but to the point where you see the horizon in the card, and it's teeny tiny. I'm there, and I realize, holy shit, I'm never gonna reach the shore, the other end, because she is like the moon. She isn't life-size like me. She's actually huge and giant and all the way up in the sky. Even the bird. So actually it's beams of light. And now I see it. She's like the moon. She is cosmic. And I feel her acceptance and love and depth. The fact that she can be cold, but is also very warm. And I won't drown. She's looking over me. She's very big, and she's me and I'm her. She's not really there, but she is. So I'm not lost in the waters. There's something else I wanted to say, and I forgot it. So maybe it's not meant for this video. I don't know. Let's continue, because something else came to mind. Since she's up in the sky anyway, I'm gonna do the floating thing. You know, where it's just your face above the water and your body is horizontally floating. If you know how to do it, you know how it feels. And I can imagine how it feels. It feels like the water truly is carrying your body. And you don't have to do anything, you're relaxing. The water carries you. So in a sense I was right, and I didn't know I was right when I first looked at her. I just thought she was across the lake, or in the lake, but I thought she was my size. And here I am, being so small and looking at her. It appears to be some sort of mirage, but at the same time she's really there. The next steps, of course, would be to maybe swim back to the shore, get out of the water, step back through the borders of the card, or perhaps just to savor the moment a little bit longer, have a conversation with whatever you can see in the card, whatever you can see in your vision, just to let your body be carried by the water, and then come back through the borders of the card, come back where you are. So I'm back, and this was a strange one, and I'm sorry I kept saying I and me, and this happens to me. I hope that this was an example on one of the many possibilities on how to do it. But actually I kind of also hope that you went there with me, even though I kept starting my sentences with me and I. It's hard for me to not do that. English isn't my first language, and so I think what it is I was trying to stay there and talk you through it. And so in order to stay there myself, I just went for the easiest types of sentences, the easiest way of explaining things. So I hope that didn't bother anyone. So this was obviously me getting to know her, and there was definitely that moment where I realized, wait, we understand each other and we even recognize each other. I already know you because I'm looking into a mirror. And that's beautiful, isn't it? That's the whole idea of the Queen of Cups. Well, not the whole idea, but you know what I mean. Initially, of course, this was me being someone, me being me, and stepping through the borders of the card. You could also quite literally flip the perspective and look through the eyes of that figure look through the eyes of the Queen of Cups, and then you become her. That was just an example of an option of how to path work with the tarot cards. And isn't that beautiful? Because you get to know her, you get to know that little place that exists somewhere. And now it's a memory. Now you have a memory of how that was, how that made you feel. And so all of that, obviously, you can put that in the readings, and you can link it to the other cards next to it. I'm not going to do that right now, but you can obviously see, hopefully, how this would work, you know, and how beautiful it is, and how I feel that it definitely is important and valuable. I truly hope that you will all enjoy doing this, and that's it. I'll see you next time.